making his first Siyum Shas. I, Baruch Hashem, just completed my second time. I can't help but see, last time we made a Siyum, so I had 2 married children and 1 Einikel. Baruch Hashem, only 1 short machzor later, right? We have 5 married children, King Yirbu. We have, Baruch Hashem, many, many more Einiklach. Last time we made a Siyum, we had all our parents. This time, there's only 1 left. Time marches on. Normally, a Siyum, when you're Messiah Shas Bavli, it's a tremendous, tremendous simcha. As he mentioned, the psak we have is we have to be mitzamtzim. We have to be mitzamtzim because at the end of the day, as much of a simcha as we're enjoying now, we're not able to participate and enjoy it with the sense of shleimus, because we're missing a lot. We're missing a tremendous amount. So I thought I would speak just for a moment about this idea. At the end of Nida, of course, the Gemara itself is bringing down, at the very end of Nida, in the last couple of dafim, the Gemara brings down a brisa. It's a discussion between the Chochmei Alexandria and the Rabbi Yeshua ben Chinina. And they ask him 12 questions. The Gemara says, the Gemara points out, the first 3 questions are in Inyane Halacha. The second 3 questions are in Inyane Agadita. The third 3 questions, 7 through 9, are Stam Shtus. I mean, when you read them, they don't seem Shtus, but the Maharsha says they're based on Greek philosophy, so they're Shtus. I trust the Maharsha, even if it gave me a challenge. In fact, it's Shtus. And the last 3, of course, are Derech Eretz. The last question of the Agadita deals with Tisha B'Av. They ask, the Chochmei Alexandria ask a question. They say like this, here's the Gemara. It says, Kosuv Echad Omer, it says in one place, Kivacha Hashem Tzion Iva L'Moshe Lo, that HaKodesh Baruch Hu loves Tzion. As I'll tell us, that's the Beis HaMikdash. And this is where he wants to be, he wants to live there. Because of Echad, and another pasuk says, Ki al api ve'al chamosi ve'haisoli ha'ir hazois lemin hayoim asher banu oisa ad hayoim hazeh v'hasiru me'al panah. He says, such aggravation, such anger I get from the moment that this Beis HaMikdash was built, I've had nothing but aggravation. Hayom asher banu oisa ad hayoim hazeh. To this very day, he said, I want to remove it from in front of me. So the Chochmei Alexandria is saying, no, how do you, one time God loves us, the next time God tells you he wants to get rid of you. What is? How do we reconcile the differences? So the answer, right, Rav Yoshua ben Chinina, he answers like this. He says, there's no stira here. We're talking about 2 different times. One time HaKadosh Baruch Hu loved the Beis HaMikdash, and this is where he wanted to be. And another time, he didn't. What's the difference between the 2 times? Something terrible happened. Something terrible happened that caused HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take away the Beis HaMikdash. Ad Kedei Kach, that thousands of years later we're sitting and we're going to have milchams today. Because we're missing something. Ad Kedei Kach. What? So we all know, we've seen the Gemaras, we know Lashon Hara, we know Sinas China. That's not what the Gemara brings down here. The Gemara tells us, very simple. Kan, Kaidim Shenasa Shloime Es Bas Para. The Kan, La'achar Shenasa Shloime Es Bas Para. What was the churban? What was it? What was it that made God so upset with us that he brushed us aside? Shlomo married Bas Para. How bad was that? Doesn't, the first reading, it doesn't seem like it's the worst thing in the world, right? He was a big Talmud Chacham Shlomo, right? The Gemara in Shabbos tells us, right, this I'm trying to say as many Masechtas as I can, because it's, I want to feel that I got my money's worth from the Daf Yomi. So it says in Shabbos, it says in Gemara Shabbos, right? It says that you're not allowed to say that Shlomo was over the Bazar. He was Chas v'Sholem. You're making a mistake if you do such a thing. That's not the case. Shlomo was a Talmud Chacham. Shlomo was a tzaddik. Shlomo built the Beis Hamikdash. Shlomo Melech. L'chara, he didn't stam marry a Goya. She went through the process. He didn't go to Beis Din. All right, the Maharsha says that Chas v'Sholem, you can't be chosheh him. That. You can't be chosheh. There was over the voters. That you can't be chosheh. But he made some errors in judgment. What was the error in judgment? So first look at the consequence. It says a couple of things. It says like this. It says in Gemara Shabbos again, right? What was the problem when he married? So he brought her over, right? The Navi says in Malachim, right? V'yischaten Shlomo as Paro Melech Mitzrayim v'yikach as Bas Paro made a deal with Paro, and then he brought her over, and v'yavia el Ir David Ad Kalois Olivnos as Beis Hashem Ves Chaimas Yerushalayim Soviv. He brought her to Yerushalayim while he was being involved in the building of the Beis Hamikdash, in the building of the city, in the finishing of the walls. She was there, and then, by the way, you should know, just parenthetically, the Navi doesn't say anything more bad. Fakir. The Navi now continues to show how Shlomo HaMelech went and he davened for Chokhmah, for wisdom, and then we have the famous story of the two women who want to divide the baby. You see how the Pasuk, the Psukim say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was happy with Shlomo. He was happy with Shlomo. But what happened? The Gemara in Shabbos tells us that when Bas Paro came, what did she do? She brought with her B'shash Nos Shlomo as Paro, as Bas Paro, Hachnisolo Elef Minei Zemer. She brought 1,000 different types of instruments. The Amralo Kach Oisin Lavoda Zara Planis, the Kach Oisin Lavoda Zara Planis. This is, we use it for this type of Voda Zara, and this instrument we use for that type of Voda Zara. V'loi Michaba, and Shlomo didn't say it. Shlomo didn't right away throw it out. Oh, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. But certainly, the Gemara tells us Shlomo wasn't Oved Avodah Zarah. Shlomo wasn't Oved Avodah Zarah. He made a judgment. She was his wife, maybe. He didn't be as hard with her as he should have. The Gemara in Sanhedrin also sees what a problem was. What it says there they see a stira. Ein kesef nechshayiv. You see that money wasn't so important to Shlomo. Says the Pasuk, says in Divrei Yamin, money wasn't so important to Shlomo. It wasn't very valuable in his time. And then it says in Malachim, what does it say? Vayiten HaMelech es HaKesef Yerushalayim Kavonim. And all of a sudden Yerushalayim was flooded with Kesef, Kavonim. Maybe it had the value of Avonim, but it would still, you see, it had some value. So now there's a stiro. So they answer, what's the lokashia? Kan kaidim shenasa shloim as Bas Paro, kan la'achar shenasa shloim as Bas Paro. And the Maharsha says, what happened? He married Bas Paro. What was the bad thing that happened? He said before, the Maharsha says, before Shlomo married her, right? Right? So what does he say like this? He says like this. He says, here he says, the kol zman shelo notza Bas Paro v'aya oisik b'chochmos ha'torah v'lo haya kesef nechoshev l'moed. He was involved in learning. He wasn't bothered by money and things like that, right? Right? And then what happened? Aval mishnosa Bas Paro miat chochma v'riba sudosa v'tanogi olam hazeh. As soon as he got involved with Bas Paro, a little bit. He left learning a little bit. Right, a little bit. Maybe he came home a little earlier. He didn't stay for nights. A little bit. He had to be Isaac in the family a little bit, and he got too involved maybe in Olam Hazeh. Right, the Maharsha says maybe that was a mistake. However we cut it, however we learn it doesn't seem like it was a huge thing. It doesn't seem like Shlomo HaMelech did anything that would warrant the chulin and all the things that followed. all the things. Right? We'll sit on the floor in a couple of days, maybe not, maybe, but chances are we're going to sit on the floor and we're going to read the keynotes. And what heart is not going to be flooded with tears when we read about the tragedies and the bestiality that the nations of the world dumped on us, all because of the Churban, all because Shlomo married the wrong woman, Bas Paro. And see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent a Malach. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent a Malach. What happened? It says, B'shah she'nosa Shlomo as Bas Paro Yared Gavriel. Gavriel the Malach, who was destined to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. He sent down Yared Gavriel. V'na'atz koneh b'yam. And he took a straw, like a twig, or maybe a long twig, and he put it in the yam. Ve'ola sirton, and on this twig, dirt started to come. It developed like a landmass. Ve'olav nivna krach gadol sheb'rami. Evidently, from this little act of putting the twig in the water, the dirt gathered, and it turned into a clump and an island, and it turned into the Italian peninsula, and eventually Rome was built around. That very Rome that ultimately came to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. What's going on here? So it seems to me like this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, Eina Chanavi. What Shlomo did isn't such a big thing in and of itself. But sometimes, from very little things can come very big things. We don't know. Sometimes, by doing just the smallest thing. No, we think it doesn't matter, but it matters a lot. Shlomo marrying and not objecting to the Avodah Zarah, and not being mechazik himself in his learning and in the Avodas Hashem, whatever thing he did, whatever way he was allowed to slip, the small thing, it was a small thing. From it resulted a great thing, as great as putting a twig in the water and resulting in Rome. A huge thing. And so today, at the Siyum of Shas, of my son-in-law and myself, so we're not eating meat. From such a small thing. So I couldn't help but thinking, there's a law in physics. So for every power one way, there's an equal power in the opposite direction. Yeah? So physics is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it must be a halach. I'm sure someplace it is. Just the way things work, l'ra, they work l'tov. A little thing, just a little thing, can turn into a huge thing. When we're learning Daf Yomi, so he and I represent two opposite ends of the scale. I'm a balabas, right? I try my hardest to be koveya eating. He's a Talmud Chacham who's Yomam V'Layla, Rosh V'Rubo in learning. And we both did Daf Yomi. Neither one of us sat down and said, today I think I'm going to finish Shas Bavli. That's not how you do Daf Yomi. You do Daf Yomi, I think I'm going to do the Daf. It's 2:30 in the morning and I'm beat, right? He says, I say it's 2:30 in the morning and I'm beat. I got to wake up in the morning, I'm tired, I don't want to do it, I got to read the paper. Right. He says it's 2:30 in the morning, I've been learning all day, and if I do the daf, I ain't going to be able to learn tomorrow. That's how you do the daf, one daf at a time. It's a little thing. When you're doing it, you think it's nothing. You run through it. You might not even remember it. You might not be able to do all the Rashis. You won't get everything there is to get out of it. But from that little thing comes Shas. The Mirz Hashem, from the little things we do. He got inspired at the last season. I have a dream, right? I'm getting older, right? I hope I have many, many more singing to do. But I would like all the boys to do it, all my kids, right? All the son-in-laws. Do it!
Right
we
now.
could do a think. Yeah, one daf. And think it the next in 7.5 years. Oh, then we'll make a seal. And I checked, I don't think it's on Tisha B'Av. Right? Then we can make a seal. Little things can come big things. Mitzvah Hashem, from the Kabbalahs that we'll take to the inspirations we get from our learning, from the little bits of knowledge that open our hearts. This should be the last Tisha B'Av. And Mitzvah Hashem, Yeheva B'Yameinu, Yiyas HaMashiach. Amen.